We haven't had such a difficult time to buy computers and computer parts in a very long time. And so buying laptops have become a very valid option in today's climate. Now, today I'm looking at the Acer Nitro V15. And thank you to Acer for sending this out to me. We're going to be taking a look at it, just doing sort of like an informal review, seeing what the sort of performance is like, price to comparison, that kind of stuff, and just getting a feel for the laptop. Now, this is as far as Blackwell goes, this is the lowest performing laptop they have, but that also makes it a realistic one, right? Because it's the lowest priced one. So we'll take a look at it, see how it does, and let's see how the Acer V15 does in a time when building computers or even buying PlayStations or Xboxes are very difficult. Should you get a laptop instead? Now, it's a very sleek looking laptop. I like the way it looks. It's very simple. I don't like laptops that are over designed. It's got a little bit of undersole sort of areas there for the heat pipes to blow air out of. It's not a massive laptop, it's quite a small screen, but this is the HD variant, and so it is a sort of a smaller screen because it is only HD. It doesn't have to push 2K or 4K. Now, the fact that this is HD is actually quite interesting to me because personally, when you're talking about a 50-50, that is what I would go for. So we'll take a look at the specs of this quickly. So here the laptop is, and I think it's a very nice looking laptop, very smooth and sort of shiny, glossy exterior. It's got a little bit of venting underneath it to get those heat elements out and sort of just control the temperature there. I think it's a nice looking laptop. It is quite a small screen. This is the HD variant of the laptop. You'll see there it's an HD 165 Hertz. Now, usually just having HD on a new laptop is it feels a bit of a minimum right now. But in the case of this laptop, which is a 50-50, which is, the bottom level Blackwell card, I actually think this is a really good choice because it means you're going to be able to play your games at really good frame rates, of course, because it's HD. And, HD on a screen like this looks amazing. And this screen is... So as I was saying, because it's a smaller screen, HD is going to be just fine. And, with that 50-50 mobile, you're still going to pump out really good frames on a system like this with the HD. Now, let's get into the specs here. This does have an 8-core CPU. It is the AMD Ryzen 7 170. And it has 8 cores, 16 threads, and it does have an L3 cache of 16 megabytes. You can see that there. It's a very capable CPU, especially on a laptop, so no worries there. It's very powerful in that way. Moving on to the memory there, we are looking at 16 gigs. Now that is the minimum for gaming, these days, but it is fast. It is 4,800 mega transfers. And right now we're only using one slot, not such a big deal on DDR5, but of course it does mean upgradability, so you can upgrade this to 32 gigs if you want to, just maybe wait until the RAM's a bit cheaper, which probably is never going to happen. But 16 gigs is going to be more than fine for the productivity that someone like me needs to do, and for gaming, I think it will be, especially on HD, it's going to be 100%. Now, of course, you can select your own customizations, but this unit does come with a 512 gig Kingston drive, just a standard drive. I'm not sure if it's a Gen 4, but I believe it would be, and standard speeds there for Gen 4 drives. So just right on the standard there. And then apart from that, we do have the RTX 5050 laptop GPU. Now, this GPU is very powerful as far as laptops go because, just one generation back, something like a 4060 doesn't perform anywhere close to this, and that is, of course, thanks to Blackwell. So I'm curious to see how this is going to perform. We'll get right into it, and we'll see how this laptop does in-game. A game called Dying Light 2. This is what I'm currently playing, and it's one of my favorite games right now. I'm quite far into it, so I have like the paraglider and stuff, and you know, I know the metrics are a little bit small, but I'll put them up on the screen for you. But right now we are getting around 70 FPS, and this is running at HD, of course, but it is maximum graphics without ray tracing, and we are using DLSS quality, but that's all. So we are not using any sort of you know, frame generation or anything like that. So I'm very impressed with it. Right now we're at 75, so yeah, very, very, very impressive sort of frame rate there. I didn't think it was going to do quite this well. I was expecting maybe around 60, but this is definitely a respectable frame rate for such a low power device. I will say the fans are quite loud, but that is, you know, it does need to cool itself. I would probably, if I were to buy a laptop like this, probably just get a little cooling stand for it to allow it some air to breathe, so that it doesn't, you know, get quite this loud all the time. But apart from that, I'm very impressed with it. You know, as far as Dying Light 2 goes, which is quite a recent game, getting around 80 now, so definitely a good result. If you're into zombie games and you haven't played this game is amazing. I enjoy it so much. It's one of my favorite games. And yeah, I kind of want to keep playing, but I guess I need to move on to something else. So next up, we're going to be doing Titan's Quest 2, which is also a relatively recent game. So let's see how this does with that. Let's do it. Here we have a relatively new game, Titan's Quest 2. It is one that I've been enjoying. It is a lot of fun. We're in a very busy area right now, inside a, you know, city center here, and the performance is quite good. We are looking at about 50 FPS right now, so, you know, it's not amazing, but it's not bad. It's quite good. Let's see what combat does. It's at about 45 right now. If you're an OG, you would have played the original Titan's Quest, which was one of my favorite games ever. And this doesn't exactly match up to that, but this is a lot of fun. You know, it's not easy to match up to those old classics, but this is pretty good. So we are at about 45 FPS right now, and that seems to be the frame rate, 45 to 50, at about 52 right now. So, you know, really not bad. It looks really nice. I mean, the visuals are really, really detailed. So I'm very happy with it. It is running at HD. It is running at high settings, not ultra, but high. DLSS is on, but no frame generation. And you know, that's what makes this generation of laptops so interesting, is that frame generation, because you don't have to use it, but you do have the option. So I could potentially get this to run at, you know, over 100 FPS without having any heavy visual sort of sacrifices, and I think that is, you know, that's a real advantage for gamers, because if you didn't want to run this at, say, 50 FPS, which is what it's running at now, then you could turn that on. But for me, I'm happy with, you know, 45 to 60 FPS in a game like this is okay. I would play around there with a game like this. FPS games, I want to play it a bit more, you know, 80 plus. But for this, I'm very happy with it, especially for such a low power laptop. Very impressed. Next up, we have Resident Evil 2. Alright, so this is the somewhat recent Resident Evil 2. And this is running extremely well. We are getting around 130 to 140 FPS, which is very impressive. not using any upscaling, not using any super resolution. So I'm very impressed with how this looks, first of all, and how it runs. Very, very impressive for a laptop, especially one in this power category. So looking at this, it's obvious that, you know, this laptop is quite, you know, it's quite powerful. It's quite capable. I've never actually played this game, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but it looks interesting. Seems like something I would enjoy, actually. But yeah, I mean, right now we're at 160 FPS, so the game does seem very well optimized. But if you're into games like these, this laptop is destroying it. I mean, we're getting super high refresh rate. And of course, the screen is 165 Hz, so look at how smooth this is. It's a really good experience. I'm very impressed with the laptop, to be honest. Now, laptops aren't cheap, and we'll get to pricing later. But still, I am very impressed with how this is doing so far. We'll do one more game, and then I'll just talk about everything. Let's do it. It's a game called Trapung 2. It's an FPS game. Let me turn down the volume a little bit. It's an FPS game, and it's a lot of fun. Not the most difficult game to run, but it does look really nice. It's got a lot of detail, and I think it's visually a good looking game. I've not done this mission, so I don't know what's going on, but But yeah, it's a good looking game. We are getting around 100 FPS right now, around a 90 right now. Let's just give it a chance to finish. But I mean, this is some premium gaming on this laptop. I'm very impressed with it. This is running right around 110 right now, so that's pretty good. Yeah, it's I kind of want to get into action to see what it feels like when we're actually playing the game, not just in a little cutscene. But it's running really well. It might be a little bit difficult to see on the camera, because it's kind of a dark game, but it's running really, really well. I'm very impressed with it. The laptop is running at around 70 degrees, which actually is not bad, especially for a laptop. It's actually kind of chill for a laptop. Usually, my other laptop runs at like almost 100, so it's pretty good. Let's get into some action. Already found it, my guy, I think. Nope. What? Supposed to find a switch, they said. I don't see anything. Oh, I can go in there. Yeah, so this game is really detailed. 140 FPS right now. So this laptop is capable of high refresh rate gaming a lot of the time, which is, you know, very impressive. Especially on the HD screen, it looks great. This game gives me a lot of Fear vibes. I don't know if you guys ever played Fear. That game was goated as well. I just want to shoot at something. What is that noise? I think it's when I run out of energy. This is not meant to be a gameplay video. I just really want to shoot at something. I don't know if that's gonna happen. We're just running. It doesn't seem like we're gonna get to shoot at anything, but The game is running at like 120 FPS, so for all of the games that I tested, I mean, this looks great, it runs great. This is running at ultra settings, by the way. Ultra settings, no upscaling, nothing like that, so fantastic performance, really good gaming performance with the laptop overall, especially for the thermal limits and for the price. So let's talk about that. Closing thoughts then on the Acer v15 laptop. I think as far as budget laptop go, this is a pretty good one. It has good build quality. It has decent ventilation, decent heating system. I do like the way it looks, the way it feels. It comes with one USB-C port, two USB 3 ports, one HDMI port, and a power plug there. You'll see it over there. And on this side you have an audio jack, which is always appreciated, as well as another USB 3 port with some ventilation. So in terms of power, this does use a 135 watt power plug, which is not the biggest power draw in the world. You are limited a little bit in terms of power there, and so the performance on some other 50/50 units might be slightly better. It does come with its own suite of features, like the Acer stuff, the same way that you get that stuff in Lenovo or Asus. The Armory crate, it does come with the Acer suite of tools, just a hub for you to configure things. I'm neither here nor there with that kind of stuff. I don't mind it as long as it doesn't affect performance too much. But the subscriptions and stuff can be a little bit annoying. But that's true for all laptops. It's not an Acer thing. It's worse on my Asus laptop. So with that said, what do I think about the laptop? Well, for gaming, I think it's pretty powerful. The pricing is a little bit hit and miss. I couldn't find any specific pricing for it. The pricing that I found is between around 18,000 to 25,000 Rand for it. Now, you can customize your purchase, and so, of course, the pricing is sort of variable there. But if you go with, let's say you pay 22,000 Rand for it, would I be happy with that? Well, consider this. 10 years ago, I purchased a 1650 laptop with a quad-core CPU and 8 gigs of DDR4 memory for 16,000 Rand. So, look, it is 10 years ago, and maybe back then that would have been sort of comparable to this, but I think this is a step up from what that was at the time. So I think the pricing maybe has gone up slightly from what it used to be, but I don't think it's unreasonable when you look at the bigger picture, right? Like when you look at what RAM costs, what GPUs cost. It's with these laptops, it's not exactly that they want to charge this much. It's just the market is the market. So I don't think it's an unreasonable price. It is a high price. You could build a much better desktop for that money, but that's not the mission with this, right? Sometimes you need a laptop. Last week I went on a trip to Cape Town, and I had to have a laptop. So sometimes you just need one. I can't take my desktop with me, and I'll be honest, gaming on this, on the HD screen, it sort of felt like gaming on my desktop. My desktop has a 5070. This felt very similar. Of course, the 5070, it's pushing 4K, so that's the difference. But if you're okay with the small screen, the gaming experience is actually really good. So I am impressed with it. I think it's a good laptop. Would I purchase one? If I were specifically in the market for one, I probably would. I do like the design. I like Acer's branding. I think they're a non-offensive company in terms of, the normal stuff in terms of design and pricing and hardware. I've always liked Acer. I think it makes sense to have a HD screen on a 5050. I think 5060 and up 2K makes more sense, but I think HD makes sense for 5050 because at 2K you know, maybe with frame generation it's different, but I think HD does make sense for something like this. Now, if you compare this to something like a Steam machine, I think you'll find that this is slightly more expensive, but you get a more powerful machine. You get a keyboard, you get a trackpad, you get a screen that is a high refresh rate screen, you get speakers. So you get sort of an all-in-one thing, right? And this is more powerful than a Steam machine. It's about 30-40% more powerful. So I would go with this if I had to choose. Now, you will pay a bit more money. A Steam machine is around $1,000. This is maybe around $1,500. So it is more expensive, but you do get the form factor. So I'm not, you know, I don't have to advocate for one or the other. I think everything has its own use case. If your use case is a laptop, this is a good laptop. That's what I'm trying to get at. I enjoyed using it. Thank you to Acer for lending me it. And hopefully I can do more stuff like this in the future if this video turns out okay. I am a bit sick, as you can hear, so that's unfortunate, but I only have a limited time with this, and I've got some other games to test on it as well. So that's going to be about it for this review. It's not really a review, it's just me talking about the laptop. I had a fun time using it. I think I would love to have something like this. So if you want a gaming laptop, this is a good choice. That's not cheap, but it's not going to, you know, make a dent in your mortgage either. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and let me know down below before I go. Would you game on a laptop like this? Do you game on laptops? I'm pretty curious as to the split between desktop and laptop gamers in my audience. I think almost half my audience is South African, so I'm curious as to what those numbers are. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.